Welcome to the CINEMA 4D interface. Let's show you how it works. First of all, create an object. Grab a cube. And how do we move around in the scene? That's easy. We use these icons here. First one, drag on it, and you will see you move left, right, up and down as you drag around. Second one, drag on it, and you'll see you'll move forwards and backwards. If you prefer to do an actual camera zoom, you can right click on this icon, and as you do that and drag, you can see that the perspective changes. To undo a camera command such as that, hold down Control, Shift and the Z key, and you will undo the last camera movement or pan or zoom that you just did. The third icon is rotate. Drag with the left mouse button to rotate like so, or use your right mouse button to tilt like so. And again, Control Shift Z to undo the button movement if you wish. The next icon changes the view. So if you click this one, you will see you then have the four-way view, where we have an orthographic view of the top, the right and the front. Any of these views can be configured to different camera views by simply clicking on the camera drop-down and choosing a different camera position. You can also adjust things like the display, such as quick shading, guru shading, and for more information on these, check the help file. The filter command allows you to turn on various different things in the scene, such as cameras, lights, scene, particle, etc. If you wish to make any of these views bigger, simply click on that little icon that we just used a minute ago. Click on it and now the top view is big. Click on it again and you get back to the 4 view, and if we want to go back to 3D, that's this one. That's moving around. You'll see that the rotate spins around the current object, and if we create another object in the scene, let's go grab, say, a sphere, so just drag on the cube icon, and if we have our move tool selector, which is this one here, simply move over the handles and you will see that they highlight. As it's highlighted, then drag, and you'll see you will move in that direction. Now if you try rotate, you'll see you are now rotating across the new object, the sphere. If we go back and select the cube in the Objects Manager, then try rotate, you'll see we'll rotate around that object. And that's how the principle of CINEMA 4D works with the camera. It will always rotate around the current active object. What about the next command? This one is scale. If you select the scale command and then drag anywhere in the interface, or rather the view, you will see that your object scales. Down here you will see the coordinates, and as you're moving things around and scaling, you will see everything updates in real time. If you prefer, you can simply type in settings in here, and that will do the same sort of scale. The next button is rotate. Choose the rotate command and you will see you'll get a few extra icons. We have the rotate modes here, and you'll see these are highlighted to show you the ways you can rotate the cube. You can either hover over one of these bands, such as the red one here, and it will turn yellow. As you then drag, you will rotate in that direction. The second mode you can do is to drag anywhere in between the cube and this yellow circle. Try that one and you rotate in all 3 directions. Outside here, if you drag, you can only rotate planar to the camera. That's how the rotate tool works. The next 3 icons you see, the X, Y and Z, relate to the axes in CINEMA 4D. Let's just delete this cube and concentrate on the sphere to show you what I mean. Just use your move and zoom tools to have a look at the sphere. Choose your move tool and I'll quickly explain what these are. So the Y axis is the green one, so this one here, so up and down. The Z is backwards and forwards, and the X is left and right. Make sure you hover on it to select it. Rather than use these, you can actually lock off axes using these 3 icons. So for example, if we turn off Y and Z, no matter where we drag in the 3D view, the only way I can move is in the X direction. So that's how these work. Naturally, if I put 2 of them on, such as X and Y, I can only move in those 2 directions. And Z is the depth. Put that one on, and I'm moving all over the place. Likewise, again, we can use the Coordinates Manager to move things around. For example, I could highlight the first X, type 0, tab across to Y, 0, and Z, 0. Hit enter, and our object goes back to the center of the universe, which is 0, 0, 0, which is this position here. What about the Objects Manager? This is where all your objects are stored. And if we create another one, let's go grab a cube again and move it across, make sure our move tool is activated. We can see the 2 are in the scene. Now the Objects Manager, you can rename things if you like. For example, I could call the cube simply by double-clicking on the name A and hit Enter. And I could call the sphere, double-click on it, B and hit Enter. And the Objects Manager allows you to select multiple objects if you wish, simply by holding Shift and clicking on the next object, and they will highlight white. If I now move in the 3D view, you'll see both objects will move at the same time. Or I can group objects together, so I just hit Undo there, which is this command here, or Control Z. If I want to group them together so they're always together, what I can do is just drag a big box over them like so, and when they are together I can hit Alt plus G, and that will group them together. If I unfold, you can see the two are sitting in a new object, which we call the parent object, and these are the children. If I select the parent object, which is just an invisible object in this case, the two will move together as we saw before. And this is the principle of organizing things in CINEMA 4D. Other tools that you have on the interface are the render buttons, and you'll see that will draw the view for you. Render to the external picture viewer, which we'll look at later, and the render settings, where you can adjust how accurately things are drawn. You then have your object creation tools, which we'll be looking at in a moment, and various select tools, which we can look at a later date. The Objects Manager, like we've already seen that. Structure Manager is less important for the moment, we won't go into that. The Attributes Manager though is, and this basically allows you to adjust the attributes of any object you select. For example, let's select that cube, and if I just scroll this up a little bit, you can see there's lots of settings in here that I can adjust, such as the size of the X, the size of the Y, size of the Z. Should things be filleted, if I click that, you can see extra things happen to this cube, where I can do things like fillet, and I can adjust all of this numerically or purely by eye if I wish. Coordinate system we've already had a look at. Materials is where you create materials to add to your objects. So that's all fairly simple stuff, and then you've got different ways of selecting things on the left hand side. As well as that, you can configure how CINEMA 4D shows you things in the interface. For example, if you choose Edit, Configure, you can turn various things on and off. For example, if you've followed me to this in your interface, you probably have this, the Select Wireframe mode on. I prefer that off, so I've turned it off. You can do the same if you wish. All sorts of things in the interface you can turn on and off, so you can have more detail or less detail simply by flicking through each of the settings in here and turning things on and off. Other settings that are useful are things like Enhanced OpenGL. If you have a good graphics card, you can then see things such as shadows in real time in the interface. So if you want to turn that on, you simply select it, and then go down and turn on things such as shadows. Let's quickly chuck a light in the scene just so you can see that working. I'm just going to create a light here and just move it off over here, and then in my shadow types in the light, I'm just going to turn on soft shadows, and you can see a shadow is now being cast on the object. Now do bear in mind that this mode will only work with certain graphics cards. To check whether your graphics card is compatible, hold down Control plus E, or Apple plus E, and then go down to Viewport, check the shading mode, and indeed if you're seeing drawing problems with your graphics card, you can turn to software shading only if you wish. However, if you want it on, OpenGL shading, show OpenGL capabilities, and this will show you what type of card you have and whether it supports all of the things required for OpenGL. As you can see, my card does, because everything says yes, so hence I can use it. Let's come out of there. That's Enhanced OpenGL and the fundamentals of using the interface.